Hello, 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 hello. It is Thursday. Another Thursday, another week. And I hope you have enjoyed your week so far. And especially today. Whenever you watch this. Of course, it doesn't have to be a Thursday, but that's the day I'm streaming this. Yeah, welcome. So today we have something I think pretty unique, I would call it. Something I haven't done that much so far. Of course, we've created multiple characters now, but I haven't really talked about my hair sculpting process, I would say, necessarily. More in general about, sculpting or just, working on a character. We didn't really go in depth that much with how I sculpt my hair, or what you can, what to watch out for, what to do to improve your hair sculpts or your sculpting workflow in general. So today we're going to delve deeper into that. Yesterday we've looked into, or I've shared my realistic character sculpting workflow. And today we're going to go into the next step, which would be the hair. We're going to basically prepare hair for the real hair that we're going to then, use in the end when the piece is finished. Let's go to the summary. Hello. So as you can see right there, as always, if you only want to see one of these topics, I'm going to put timestamps in the description, and also you can see them in the timeline. I'm going to do the 30-minute quick sketch first. 30-minute quick sketch, just quick sculpting right now, an image. I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to do that. And then afterwards, we're going to go into the next topic, sculpting detailed hair for characters. Of course, the 30-minute quick sketch section will roughly take an hour or 50 minutes, just because I want to go into, I want to do some post-production. I need to render it and then post it on social media, which will take a little bit more time. So it'll roughly be, 50 minutes. And then afterwards, we're going to go into sculpting detailed hair for characters. Not for animals, not fur, not, I don't know what else hair, what other hair there might be. I don't know, body hair. Or you could call it, yeah. No, we're going to go into, hairstyles, hair in general on the head, not anywhere else. So that's what going to be today's topic. We're going to continue the character that we've started yesterday. Yesterday we started a new character, a female orc. Today we're going to go into the hairstyle. Yesterday we actually sculpted a hairstyle, but I decided I just want to, restart again, create a new one, because I think that's a pretty cool, or, pretty interesting topic to delve into a little bit deeper. And I think it works better when we start from scratch rather than already having something that we've done yesterday. So we're going to do a full workflow from scratch. So yeah, those are the two topics for today. We're gonna go right into the 30-minute quick sketch, so we don't lose any time, and then we can go straight into the sculpting of detailed hair in Blender. Let's go to Blender itself. There you go. And let me set a few settings. I need my graphics tablet as well. Hold on. Wait, okay, there you go. Okay. I have my references for today's quick sketch already prepared, as always. There you go. Make it smaller so I can see it on the side. Perfect. Today it's going to be a frog, and this time I actually want to try to sculpt the whole body. Just because frogs, are quite, I guess, simple, at least when they're, just sitting on the ground, because they tuck all their limbs basically onto their body, so it's basically like one shape. That's what I'm going to do for today. I have my timer ready. I need to go to sculpting, of course. There you go, set a few settings here, basic settings. Detail size, nope, constant detail, 20. There you go. Do we need more? Or do we need symmetry? Yeah, probably. Yeah, it'll probably look better with asymmetry, but that using symmetry, you know, is probably a little bit better for this, you know, for quick sketches, just because we don't have that much time, 30 minutes. So, you know, we take every time save that we can get. It's similar to speed running. So yeah, perfect. Okay. Do I need anything else? Oh yeah, the timer's ready. Hopefully you are ready as well. Okay. Perfect. So, timer's ready. I am ready. Hopefully you are ready as well. I would say 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. Okay. Let's sculpt a frog. We're gonna start off with the bottom part. You know, they look... I've seen some videos actually about, you know, frogs. I think TikTok it was. About some behaviors of frogs. And one of them was that they sometimes, I think, you know, just specific species maybe. But some of them just attach themselves to... Wait, oh, I did the wrong... Okay. They just attach themselves to to some sort of, you know, wherever they live, like a glass, for example, and then they just lie there and are like super flat to the ground. Looks super weird. It looks like their, you know, their feet are just one single piece. It doesn't even look like they're like a full animal. They just look like, I don't even know what to call it, like a this small little bean that is sitting there on the glass. Looks pretty weird with their huge eyes, sleeping. Okay, pull this out for the head. There you go. We need eyes as well, maybe there. I think that's a little bit too long. Maybe make it shorter. There you go. Okay, do we need to make it wider? Probably. I think the whole body needs to be wider. Hold on, I need my references. There you go. Okay, yeah, this definitely needs to be wider. There you go. Okay. So, let's do the face first. Face first is probably the easiest way to start. What I usually, you know, realize is that I usually start with the nose actually, or, you know, the nose basically. I don't know why, but that's a good way to start, in my opinion. Or, you know, as I was doing more and more of these animal sketches, it just seemed like that's the easiest way to start any sculpts. I don't really know why. Maybe this just gives you, you know, a good starting position. It's pretty simple to put that in. I don't know. It just, yeah, it's just the thing that I always start with. There you go. Maybe pull this more outwards. I can also rotate this a little bit like this. There you go. Then I'm gonna dig in here just a little bit. I also want to pull this down a little bit. There you go. Okay, let's put the eye in here, nice and round. There you go. Make an eye hole, of course. I'm gonna increase the tool strength a lot, just to so I can put in eyes later. There you go. That should be good. I'm not gonna sculpt eyes. I'm just gonna, you know, grab my good old, or I'm probably just gonna use spheres as eyes. That's probably easier. I have, you know, a eye base mesh, but I don't think that is really a good. It doesn't really fit very well for animals, so I decided to not use it for most of them. I just use spheres because, you know, eyes aren't really the focus here, so I just use spheres. And it's getting quite loud. Hold on. Go. There you go. I think that's better. Maybe a little bit less. Like that. Okay. Let's continue. So let's do the mouth. The mouth, pretty simple. Just going all the way back. Oh, welcome. Schadenhorlet. Metaball tutorial? You mean sculpting with metaballs? Or modeling with metaballs? Let's see. Okay. Doing the daily quick sketch that I'm doing right now. A frog. Just started. And yeah. Then afterwards we're gonna go into... I mean, you can still, you know, at least create a base mesh with metaballs. I've seen that before. But I've never tried it myself. Might be an interesting challenge. I've actually, you know, modeled water before with metaballs, but that's probably more what they're used, you know, what they're supposed to do. Kind of simulate water, or at least, you know, kind of budget water. Welcome back, Matthew. Hope you had a good day. Yeah, I haven't really done much with metaballs just yet. I think there's quite a lot you can do with them, but I haven't really used them that much so far. They don't really seem to... they seem to be very niche in their use case. Yeah, I think that's usually what you use them for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think the water simulations in Blender use something similar to metaballs. What I tried actually was just use a particle simulation and then use metaballs as the particle. That kind of actually looked like water, but it was kind of, you know, it wasn't really responding the way water would respond, because all the particles would just, you know, go through each other. They wouldn't really collide, which of course isn't really, you know, how water reacts. There you go. So yeah, metaballs seem to be very niche in their use case, or I just haven't tested them enough. I'm also not really that much into simulations, at least right now, so maybe they're more used there. But I've seen some tutorials for overall metaball modeling as well. It just didn't seem very practical if you can just, you know, sculpt it instead of using these weird balls and having to arrange them in a way that they make a certain, you know, base mesh, like an animal, for example. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's really the best use case for them, to just make something, you know, like a model or stuff look like water. Wait, oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. The biggest problem that I had was just when I tried using particles, it looked pretty good, but I think the crucial element that was missing was that the particles didn't interact with each other. So if they, you know, collide, they just go through each other, which wouldn't really happen if you have water, because water is still mass, and it would just, you know, collide and then go into different directions rather than just go through each other. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest flaw, I guess. But I think they're good if you just want to make a simple water animation or water simulation. Nothing really sophisticated, like, I don't know, the sea, a shore. There you go, the nice frog fingers. Wait, how many do they have? Oh. Harmonic magnetic. Yeah, I've seen these settings before. I haven't really... I know it wasn't harmonic when the poles, or when it's like a pulse, the force that you can apply to objects in physics simulations, when it's like you know, activate, deactivate, activate, deactivate. I can't remember. It's been too long. There you go. I've dabbled into some, so I've definitely experimented with particle simulations a little bit. I tried to create some sort of plasma cannon before, where they kind of meet in the middle and then shoot out. So I tried a few different particle simulation or forces, but I haven't really looked into them too much. But it's definitely something that looks very interesting and very promising if you want to create special effects or something like that. Right now, I'm more into character art or sculpting. What I like to use particles for is actually for for atmosphere. So you can of course use volumetric, like a volumetrics cube, but you can also then add bigger particles or bigger, spores, for example, in the air by just using particles and then putting them in the air static. And then if you make a render, it looks pretty cool because you have these, especially when you have like a forest scene, you can have all these small, maybe even just fireflies or something flying in the air, which can look very cool. You can create another, sense of depth, because if you increase or if you include depth of field as well, the particles far away are very blurry. The ones in the front are very sharp, or in the close to the character. Yeah, so of course you can just use the mask brush. But I think what I like actually more than just using the mask brush by just painting like this, what you can do is you can hover, or if you have like a limb like this, for example, or you have mesh that is very close together, you can hover over the mesh that you want to select. Then you press Shift A without clicking on it, and then you can just pull it all the way like a sock or something over the limb that you want to select. And then you can just tap on it, and then it's selected. That's a really nice tool, especially when you have close geometry that is very close together. Okay, hold on, this looks kind of weird. I'm gonna change that later though. First of all, I need an actual arm here. Oh, hold on, what is happening? Wait, oh, it's so weak? No, hold on, what's... Yeah, that's very useful, especially for hair that we're gonna do today. Wait, where's my... Why does it not work? Nothing works. What is going on? I'm being scammed. Let's try again. So I have like a frog reference on the side. This frog, I think it's like a tree frog. He actually doesn't have the webbing necessarily, or the fingers are just too close together. That you don't really see it, or I don't see it. So, I think I'm gonna just keep them like this long. Maybe I can pull a little bit out here, like this, zip, to have a little bit of webbing. Okay. I think it all depends on what kind of frog you have. If they're more aquatic or more... What is it? More... on land. The more I look at this frog, the more it looks like just... Frogs just look like fat dudes. They just, I don't know, like their shapes, and they have like elbows, and then you have like all this mass around it. They have like actual four arms and bones underneath, and then fingers, but just 3. Looks so weird. Go, pull that down. He also has a chest, of course, like there. I'm, just quickly sculpting it in. I'm not really perfect anatomy probably, but, it's just a quick sketch. It's supposed to warm up. So as far as hard surface modeling, I've only really done hard surface sculpting, not really modeling, but it's definitely something that I want to look more into at some point, because you know, I think there are like two worlds when it comes to modeling, either hard surface or sculpting, and I kind of want to learn the other side as well, you know, just to kind of expand my horizon. But it's definitely something I haven't looked into that much. You know, modeling a car or modeling like a gun or a weapon, a knife or whatever. I think that could be pretty cool, but I haven't really looked into that too much yet. I've just recently created like like mechanical arms, but I mostly just sculpted most of it because they were pretty, you know, an arm is pretty organic, so it was more, you know, just easier to sculpt it rather than to just, I guess, model it, poly model it, or whatever you want to call it. There you go. Okay, that looks weird. We definitely need some more weight down here. It looks too round. Looks kind of like he's floating. There you go. More. We also have the legs. Let's put in the legs first. Yeah, it seems to be either one or the other. Either you find hard surface modeling more intuitive or easier, or you find sculpting easier or more intuitive. Yesterday we went over, or I kind of, you know, talked about my sculpting workflow for like a character. Today we're gonna go over sculpting a detailed hairstyle for the character that we sculpted yesterday, a female orc, as you can see in the title as well. And there was also somebody, I think he joined 2 days ago. He said that he finds it easier to do hard surface modeling rather than sculpting, but he wanted to learn more. You know, he wanted to learn sculpting, so he joined and learned, or not learned, but you know, wanted to learn about sculpting. The noodle character. What's the noodle character? Okay, that's the leg. The leg's gonna... Oh, yeah, I did finish that. I will still post it. I haven't posted it yet, but I will definitely do that at some point, maybe today when I'm done streaming. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we finished that on... When did we finished it 2 days ago. Yeah, yesterday we started a new character. 2 days ago we finished the noodle girl. And yeah, now we're working on a new character. Oh. That's the foot, or the... I don't even know. He has like... Okay, hold on. That looks too small. I always struggle doing like a full body in these quick sketches because it, you know, requires so much more attention to the forms and shapes, how they work together. Okay, that looks better. Let's do like a... Oh, there you go. Perfect. I actually thought about making like a video about kind of like the problem with Unreal Engine 5. Like, not really the problem, but that I don't really know if, you know, characters will still look, you know, good in or as good as like the environments that everybody's like hyped about. But I came to the conclusion that I probably don't have enough expertise in Unreal Engine that I can really talk about it that much. maybe we can kind of, you know, experiment with it at some point. Maybe even use some of the models that we've created so far, kind of trying to import them or whatever. But it's not really on the list, at least right now. There you go. Welcome back, Athen. How to bend object with array modifier? You mean like in a circle or like in a line? You can either use an empty to rotate around the empty, or you could use a curve modifier to kind of, you know, attach the array to the curve modifier. There you go. Okay, that looks kind of okay now, better than before, but still not too good. There you go. I think we need to separate the arm from the body a little bit more, otherwise it looks kind of weird. There you go. Okay, I think that's okay now. Smooth it. There you go. Okay, the arms look pretty chunky. Hold on, gotta make them a little bit slimmer. Of course, it's supposed to be a chunky boy, but he's quite chunky. He's a chunkster. Okay. The head, does he connect well to the body? Let's see, we have another view here. Nope, I want to give it a little bit more neck. It needs like a huge neck like this. Perfect. Sculpt it out. There you go. It seems like... So there was like one of these frogs that I've seen in one of these videos that looked super obese. I don't know if that was just the species of frog that just looked so weird, or it looked so... I don't know. It looked so weird. Like, as if he had like fat rolls everywhere. On his fingers, on his arms, on his face, over his eyes. Maybe I can find the video when we're done with this. We have 7 minutes left. Perfect. The first 50 minutes went by pretty quickly with this. Actually, now we have more time than I expected. Or I'm, I don't know, losing track of time. There you go. Okay, I think he's a little bit longer than I need him to be. There, that's better. Haha. These ones are basically just my 30-minute quick sketches every day before I go into, you know, every day. Roughly the first hour of the stream, I do a 30-minute quick sketch just to kind of get, you know, warm up. And yeah, I have like, it's just like a challenge that I guess gave myself. Every day I do like just a 30-minute piece, whatever it is. Could be modeling, could be sculpting. Right now I'm doing, you know, sculpts. It's a good opportunity for me to improve on stuff that I want to, you know, improve on. Like I've previously done environment modeling. Now I switched to sculpting just because I wanted to. And then maybe at some point we'll go back to just to you know, environment modeling. So the timer is just to, you know, time myself for 30 minutes. And then afterwards we're going to do some post-processing, of course rendering the image, and then we're going to upload it. And then we go into today's topic. Okay, now the music is like super quiet. Hold on. There you go, that's better. It's actually quite enjoyable, you know? Because it's a good way, yeah, as you said, I mean, have you tracked my my images? Or what are you implying? But yeah, I kind of agree. It's a good way to improve your whatever you want to improve, whether that is, you know, drawing or sculpting or modeling or, I don't know, doing backflips, whatever it is. It's a good way to do that with these quick sketches that you know, they are still a challenge, but they don't require you, you know, to put in that much effort. They're kind of throwaway, which also, you know, you don't get attached to them, you know, too much. The frog. I mean, do you mean he looks pregnant? But it is a good way, you know, you don't necessarily get attached to the image because you've been working on it for so long. But you spent, you know, enough time to really, I guess, practice the workflow, practice the technique. You observe more. You know, it's similar to explaining a concept to somebody. By explaining it, you learn even more how it works. You understand it better as well. And it's similar in my experience with these quick model pieces, because they you know, you try to capture the essence of whatever you do when it, you know, it's, for example, what do you mean the legs? Yeah, the legs look weird, I know. I think, oh, I know what the problem is. I see it. I don't have a good reference for the top view. There's like this limb. So he has the what is it? The thigh. Yeah, that's better. But he needs to have chunkier legs. There you go. That's better. Okay. He has a belly as well, of course. He's a obese frog. I think this is a what is it called? A forest or leaf frog? No, tree frog. Tree frog. They don't have, I think, webbing because they, you know, climb in trees. So they need to grip more than swim. Okay. Yeah, and, you know, doing these 30-minute quick sketches, I've actually done multiple, you know, human-like characters as well, like ogre, no, not an ogre, but a troll, an orc, or a zombie, which really helped me. And actually, I learned a more reliable workflow for characters, which was really, really helpful, actually. And the female orc actually gave me the idea for, you know, the project we're working on right now. I've never discovered, you know, I've never known people that lick, you know, frogs, but I know what you mean. These frogs that have these I don't know, poison or whatever it is on their skin to get high, or, you know, they don't get high, but if you lick them, you get high. 1 minute 38. Oh no, hold on. Let me put in some more. There you go. Okay, that looks weird. I'm gonna smooth it. Looks like he has armor on. Oh, welcome, innocent boy. Interesting name. Welcome. Hope you enjoyed your day so far. We're working on a quick sketch, and then we're gonna go into today's topic. Yeah, hold on. Don't stress me, okay? Yeah. What's your preference in Blender? You know, there are people that like, you know, hard surface modeling more. There are people that like sculpting more. I'm definitely somebody that likes sculpting more, but I've also met people that like hard surface modeling more, like Schaden Horlet, right, for example. There you go. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna actually break symmetry here. And, oh, 18 seconds. Hold on. Come on. Let me grip the arm. Please. Oh, no. Okay, hold on. Zip. There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna put in the eyes later, or yet now. What I usually do is I don't really include the eyes because I just use spheres for them. So then I don't really sculpt them in. So they come in now. Oh, not a circle. I need a sphere. There you go. Sorry, I'm not lazy, okay? I'm just doing it because it's not part of the sculpt. If you want to break symmetry, you can just go to the symmetry tab. It's under remesh. So what is it? Brush settings, dynamic topology, remesh, and then symmetry, and then you just unclick it. Everything that's blue is active. Okay. It's not part of the sculpt, okay? That's why I don't use, why I don't include it in the 30 minutes. There you go. Look at him. Yes, the eyes are too small. There you go. Wait. Actually, no, that's okay. There you go. Of course, because I had to do the full body, I couldn't really spend that much time on details, but I think that's okay. You know, from time to time, I think it's okay to do some full body sculpts. My job is actually not in 3D, but sometimes I actually am able to use Blender at work. I work as a media designer or graphic designer. You could, say both, I guess. Oh, I can actually show you the final render of the Noodle Girl in a second once I save my quick sketch number 137. There you go. Look at him. He's a happy boy. Okay. You're for it? I've never heard that word before in my life. Save and sell, yeah. Unretopologized frog. That would probably, doing these every day, I have like 137 models to sell on TurboSquid. I can sell them for like $1 or whatever, and I would have $137 if somebody, one person buys it off of me. So that's pretty good. Okay, so yeah, let's do the render before we go into the Noodle Girl. I've never earned a oh yeah, okay, 5 cents off. I haven't made money off of Blender, so I haven't earned anything. Oh, let me remove the timer. There you go. Okay, what do we need? Oh, we need the lighting scene. Oh wow. Because we have he is facing the wrong way. When I look at the blend file, we just see his butt. Hold on, I need to show you what I mean. Here, look at this. Look at him. We just see his butt, his small little feet, his leg. Because I sculpted in the wrong direction. There you go. Oh, of course. We need to remove the one from yesterday. A lion or tiger. Yeah, tiger. There you go. Pull him forward. There you go. Okay. We don't need this. Mark. Oh, you mean you've made some money from Blender, making Blender products and selling them? Okay. There you go. There he is, sitting like a good boy. Hold on. What's the focal length on this? Probably, yeah, 85. Okay, that's okay. Okay. Why should I go to dev mode? Do you mean this one? Material preview? Why does it look like his eyes are way more out than they look in here? That's weird. Okay, who cares? Okay, let's find some good lighting here. That's pretty good. Let's change this one as well. Oh, nope. Oh, that's quite bright. I think I like this one. It's too bright though. Hold on. There has to be something good here. I think I'll keep this. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Welcome back, Vicente. Yeah, you know, I still need to learn sculpting dogs a little bit more. I see what you mean. Definitely very weird looking. But, you know, that's why I do these, to improve. Should I make them black? I think that looks cuter. Oh yeah, look at him. He has this small little glimpse there in his eye. I'm gonna make this round so it doesn't look like it's a cube. There you go. Look at him. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's good. I like it. Okay, that's the render. We need one more thing, which is the material. You mean you want the eye should be even more out? Yeah, I'm gonna use the compositor soon once I've done the sketch render. Hold on. Append, there you go. What do I need? Materials. Material, which is called Material 001 because I can't name it. There you go. It is. There you go. Yeah, it just basically, you know, puts in some darkness in the creases, which just highlights some, you know, it just brings out the details in the sculpt a little bit better. Makes it look less flat. There you go. We need a render of ×8 to 56. Save it. Do we need anything else? Yep, 50% to do the sketch. Let's switch here. There you go. Render. Shouldn't take long. Oh, almost there. Oh, actually takes longer than I expected. Nope, there it goes. We can prepare the scene. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder why it takes so long. Maybe because he's so close to the camera and it takes up so much space. There you go. There he is in his full glory. Oh, I missed his finger a little bit. But we can fix that for the final render. Oh, wait. I canceled the render, but I mean, it looks good enough. There you go. Threshold 2. Oh, you know what? 1.5 looks good to me. There you go. Maybe high even. Yeah, that's good. Just a little bit of a glow. We could also make him like, you know, shiny because he's maybe wet because he's a frog. But I actually saw in the references that some frogs actually look pretty pretty hold on, pretty pretty dry. Yeah. Okay, let's fix the camera and then we can go with the final render. So that's what I do in the compositor. Sometimes when I have color I use the lens distortion as well, but the rest I basically just do in Photoshop. There you go. Now everything is in the camera's view. Save it right there. Should we place the camera higher? No, I like it pretty low. Okay, perfect. Let's do the render. There you go. You mean mixing two glossy nodes? What is that for? Or what would the result be? I don't really know what you would get out of that. Isn't that just, you know, glossy? I mean, you could probably change the properties, but still. This seems to be... Oh, well, never... No, not really. How long? 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. I'm gonna drink something. Stay hydrated, everybody. Yeah. Just like me. Welcome. Oh no, I can't read that name. It's too small. Hold on. Welcome. Thanks for following. Hope you enjoy the rest of the stream. There you go. Do I have my list here? There it is. Majestic Hassan. Sorry for butchering your name if it was wrong. No, so for these quick sketches I usually keep them black and white. There is a project that I started last week. Was it last week or the previous week? So I have a plan. At some point I started doing black and white quick sketches, and we're still in that series, you could call it. I'm gonna change that once the project is done, where yeah, that I planned on, I guess, using... No, hold on, that was completely so so all the quick sketches are black and white because at some point I just decided to go black and white, and then I actually had the idea to create an actual project that will bring back color into the quick sketches. And the project we've started 2 weeks ago, I think. I think we're gonna go back to it once we've finished the female org, which will probably be either at the end of next week or the week after. The project is basically an animation of Roberto, the human character rig that I have developed at some point before I started streaming, that I basically use for all my environment modeling quick sketches. And it basically combines multiple topics or multiple things that I wanted to do in one. First of all, it's an animation that I wanted to do on stream at some point. Then also I can use Roberto, which I wanted to do. I wanted to animate him and kind of, you know, I wanted to, you know, provide a download link for him so that anybody can use him if they want to. So, you know, the animation works not only to have a project on stream, but also as like an advertisement, I guess, or to kind of showcase what you can do with them. So animation using Roberto, and then the animation is basically about him bringing back color into the quick sketches. So that's all, you know, that's 3 in 1. I like to combine multiple, I guess, goals or whatever in one. So that's the plan for the animation project. So until then, we're still working in black and white. But I agree, I would definitely add more. I would add color if Roberto wasn't so slow in saving the color. There you go. Quick sketch day. What day do we have? Day. Hold on. 137. There you go. Okay. So there you go. Grease pencil. That's actually another project that I have on my list. Do I? I think I have it on my list. Making a stop motion animation, maybe, or doing like a 3D world with you know, combining 3D and the grease pencil, that could be a cool project. I've seen some, you know, concept art or animation concept art with that. Okay, let's switch to Photoshop. Hold on. Where's my toad? I mean my frog. There he is. Oh, we can maybe... Okay, so of course for every quick sketch we need a name. So you can now come up with names for this day's piece. It can be anything. It can be I don't know, noodle or moon. Doesn't matter. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be frog or whatever. Yeah, we've actually just recently submitted a piece to a competition. That's actually why I didn't submit, or you know, why I didn't compete or you know, participated in that challenge, because we just finished the other challenge, or we just started, or no, almost finished the other challenge, the MSI Creator Award. So I didn't really have time to do this one as well, and I also didn't want to, you know, do another, you know, 100%, I guess, project. Wait, there you go. So there's this small little dude, but the final, you know, the winner actually looks very, very cool. I like the final, the first place. Basically all of them look pretty cool. I've seen some very, very cool, some really cool concepts. I saw some, or one of them was using like a oil, you know, oil station in the sea, and he actually simulated like waves, like the sea in Blender and all that stuff, splashing. Looked really, really cool. Yeah, and then what I really liked about the first place was just the colors that you used. Like everything was like green, not green, like brown and gray and dark. And then he pulled this tank of this simple, you know, the single plant in this tank, which was like this vibrant green. Looked really, really cool. What I thought was pretty crazy was that like every frame took him like a half an hour to render. Imagine, you know, doing that like all day, and then at some point you discover like a mistake. That's why you always render your frames individually, not as an MP4, because then you at least have the previous frames and you can fix the one that is wrong. Okay, so let's finish this. I don't want to stall too much. Let's put in some contrast as well, and then we need the fingerprint texture. There you go. Look at him. Let's use the fingerprint texture that we need for all the quick sketches to bring some texture in the background. Very, very simple. You can basically just use these dirt and grime, surface imperfections, I guess, textures to, you know, apply them to the background, and they bring in some pretty interesting, and an interesting look, especially the one that I use, fingerprints, with some, you know, look at this. That's what it looks like. Then we can set it to add, and there you go. We can then set it to 50%, so it's not as strong. And then it looks a little bit more, I guess, it just adds a little bit more to the background. There you go. Okay, let's save the PSD. Quick sketch day 137, 1920 by 1920. Photoshop, yep. Okay, so once I've uploaded the quick sketch, we're going to look at the Noodle Girl that we've just finished, the 3D recreation of a 2D sketch, and then we're going to go into today's topic, which is creating or sculpting a detailed hairstyle for characters. Where am I? There you go. Wait, I'm in the wrong folder. So many folders. Oh, both my my drives are almost full. Both are on red. 11 gigabytes left on both. Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go to bed, then I can show it to you before I upload my stuff, because I, you know, always, I can always just, wait, but what do I want to say? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, let's get to Blender. There you go. So I can maybe show you the model first, the finished model, and then I can show you the render. Let's open it. Is it still in here? Nope. Oh, there it is. Yep. Yeah, that could be an idea as well. Uploading it to TurboSquid, but I would have to look into, I guess, you know, all that. There you go. So I decided to bring it very close to the sketch in not only, you know, the appearance, but also, I guess, the, you know, what you can see in the image. Of course, the bowl isn't really visible here, but I found that it looks a little bit better if you show a little bit more of the bowl in 3D. But I've used a few Boolean cubes to cut off, for example, like down here, her body, or the bowl. And that's the final model. Let me show you the final render. I have two versions. I have one with, you know, a white background and one with a black background. I found that the black background just highlights the character a little bit better. Otherwise, you know, for example, because I've rendered it in black and white, because I wanted to stay a little bit closer to the sketch, I haven't added any colors or textures. So it's still black and white, which means, for example, the hair was very white and you couldn't really see it that well on a white background. So I decided to stick to the black background, which I think that's the final version. Let's use this one. There you go. That's the final render. Hold on, I'm gonna make it bigger. There you go. Of course, it's not, you know, perfectly one-to-one, but you know, that was really the goal. Oh yeah, the hair was actually another, I guess, achievement. I tried to find a way of sculpting or modeling hair that didn't involve curves, and you can also, that enables you to attach hair particles or hair, you know, models like curves. I wanted to apply the curves to the surface so that they stick to the surface. What I've done here is basically this is just a sculpt, the hair, I guess the biggest, you know, the hair bulk, and then I've just attached some more geometry on top. So this is a sculpt, and then I've used hair particles, not hair particles, but I can show you what I've used. No, there's nothing. I haven't used any curves because I hate curves. Or I didn't hate them, but it's just annoying to work with them. Let me show you the hair strands. There you go. So that's what I've worked with. Da-da-da. It's a single edge, or you know, that's how it started. So what you can do with this, I show you what it does. So you have like two vertices, and then you can just da-da-da, and just extend this all the way however you want, how far, and then you can make it smaller like this, and you know, change it however you want. And that's what I use for the hair. It is a single edge, as you can see, with a few modifiers. So I can show you the modifier stack real quick. What I've used is this. It's pretty simple actually. So the first one, oh, there you go. So what the first one does is basically just smooth out the edge so that it, you know, is smoother than just this. That's the first subdivision modifier. Of course, the more you increase the level, the smoother it gets. Then afterwards, you have a shrink wrap modifier. If you, for example, in here, like these ones, want to attach the hair noodle or whatever, the hair model to the sculpt, as you can see, it perfectly sticks onto the surface, even if I move it. See? That's why I've included a shrink wrap modifier. And then the other ones that just fly around. just, you know, don't use this. I just have nothing selected in there. The next one that we need to make this actually, you know, a hair particle would be, we need a skin modifier to give it some geometry. And then of course, if we just use a skin modifier, it looks, you know, like a cube, or like a, you know, it has only 4 edges. And then to make it smooth, I use a subdivision modifier. So it's very similar to curves, but it's, in my opinion, way easier to use because you just have to extend, you know, the edge here. You can also, of course, use it for noodles. There you go. See, it's just the same. I've used that for the noodles as well. And the good part is, once you have like this side done, you can just, you know, grab all of them like this. Hold on. Oh, let me grab these and put them to the other side. I need, you know, this one, if there wasn't any hair over here. Oh, let me grab these hair particles real quick, or these hair strands. Okay, let me duplicate them. Zip. Rotate them by 180 degrees. Okay, well, that was too much. Hold on. There you go. And let me attach them to this side. Oh, they don't fit pretty well. Well, let's go into, let's enable snapping and just move them once. And now they're perfectly sticking to the surface. Oh, well, they don't fit very well. Well, I can go in here and just use, what is it, proportion editing. Let me just move all of them at once. Woo! And so you can very easily adjust the hair. And that's how I made this in probably like 2 hours or so, the hairstyle. I think I've started with these bigger ones, and then I continued with these smaller hair strands. And that's how I made the hair and the noodles. It was pretty simple. And I'm probably going to make a video explaining it, because I think it was so effective and so easy that, and I haven't really seen anybody else really do that before, that I want to do a video about it, like an explanation. Yeah. So what I've done here actually is I've made these hairs darker, but I think if I would have done another render, I think I would have made everything white, because it looks kind of weird if you have these stripes in the hair. But yeah, that's the final version. Of course, this is more for stylized hair, but if you want to go into more detail, of course, you can just make them smaller as well. Yeah, the band-aid looks a little bit too, I guess I've just used like a band-aid texture and I applied it to this plane. I think it looks too, I don't know, too round. I mean, yeah, you know, she has it as well, so yeah, that's probably it. It's just too thick. Yeah, but that's the final version. Actually, the chopsticks are only flying in her hand. She's really, you know, pretending to hold them. I didn't really want to change the hand, but I think you don't really see it in there anyway. So yeah, that's the final version of that. Oh, we actually finished another piece that I actually am pretty, I don't want to say proud of, but I was surprised how well it came out. How well it looked in the end. So we started with, so the project was basically, there's this, maybe you don't know him, this YouTuber called Dream. Nobody knows what he looks like, so we kind of, you know, collected some references. He posted a single photo of him when he was a child, and we kind of did some, I guess, some, you know, anatomical, what do you call it, research, how your face evolves if you get older. And then we tried to create him how he looks now when that he is like 21 years old or 22. And here's the final version. That was, I think, done in like 3 days. So I'm quite proud, or quite not proud, quite surprised how well it actually came out. So we started, the first day was just this, you know, establishing the mass. And then the next day was establishing or starting the hair and the hoodie and the t-shirt. That's what it looks like. And then in the end, we have the final render. The hair looks actually pretty cool. It's probably like a pretty simple hairstyle, but still. Thanks for subscribing. Hold on. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you keep enjoying the stream. Let me just quickly pull up. you know, I have this window over there so I can see the stream very, very small, but the name is just too small to read it out. So I'm going to pull it up real quick. Akmal Tong, welcome. Thank you for subscribing. Hope you'll enjoy the stream. Continue to enjoy the stream. We're going to go into today's topic real soon. Yeah, that's the last model that we finished. And that's kind of the style that I want to also bring the orc character in. GAN. Oh, that's what you mean. Basically like an AI that turns... Oh, it's very, very low quality. I can show you what it looks like. I don't think that can really... The AI can really pick it up. Look at this. There you go. It's like 180 pixels by 180 pixels. It's so small. What do you mean with open? There you go. Yeah, that was the only picture that we had, and then we, you know, grabbed some other dudes that kind of looked like him, and we created this character. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm streaming on YouTube and Twitch, so you can decide which one you like more. Okay, so I'm uploading my quick sketch, and then we're gonna go into today's topic, which is sculpting a detailed character. No, sculpting detailed hair in Blender for characters. We have our orc character that I'm gonna pull up now, so you can have an idea what we're gonna do today. There you go. Don't save. Oh, the eyebrows for this character I actually used hair particles for. So that's what we've been working on yesterday. We actually have some hair, but I decided to just start over again because I think starting from scratch is better for today than actually having something right from the beginning. So yeah, we're gonna start off with nothing. Okay. I mean, you know, if you want to see my art, you can go to Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or LinkedIn or... No, LinkedIn, not really. I only post quick sketches on LinkedIn. Or, no, yeah, basically Instagram and... basically Instagram. If there's demand for a Discord, I may consider it. But I don't know if it's the right time just yet. Okay, so that's what we're going to use today for the hair. If you want to know how we made this character in depth, I've talked about the process, how I started. We started with a sphere and created this character out of it, a female orc. Today we're going to go into modeling the hair, so that's today's topic. Oh yeah, I thought about you know, so the... Oh, welcome back, Jordan. Hope you've enjoyed your day so far. I know it's pretty late for you already. It's just like for me. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, have a good rest of your day. Hope you sleep well. I'm gonna call you Horlet. I think that's easier. If that's okay. I thought about making some sort of feedback or, you know, art share section as well. Or, what is it, a topic or day or whatever, you know, sharing art or giving feedback or whatever. Maybe if there's enough demand, you know, then we can always do that. So we're gonna work with this, but before we start, you know, so I don't want to be like him. I have something else, you know, in mind, but it's a little bit similar. Okay, so I'm gonna upload my quick sketch. You don't have to look at me looking at my phone. I have a compilation that'll roughly take 3 minutes, and then we're gonna go into this thing right there, this character. She needs some hair, so that's what we're gonna do today. Starting off from scratch and creating a hairstyle. So I hope you enjoy the compilation. I'm gonna see you in 3 minutes, and then we're gonna start. If you have any questions, you just ask them. I'm always open, of course. Yeah. Enjoy, and I'll see you in 3 minutes. There you go. It's so quiet. Let's bring back the music. There you go. Okay. Let's start with today's actual topic. We've been looking at the quick sketch for quite a while. Let's begin with the hair. So we had a hairstyle before, but I decided to just restart because I think that's you know, a better start than already having a hairstyle and then just detailing it. I think working or beginning from scratch is more helpful than, you know, just working on the details. So of course we're going to go and start with from scratch basically, which means we're going to use a sphere. There you go. Okay. So we're going to use a sphere for the hair, of course. Usually I always start with spheres when I sculpt, just because, first of all, you know, it fits quite well in the head, which means we can fill out the head quite well because we want to extend the sculpt out of the head in the end. And the better the sculpt fits in here, or the object that we use for the sculpt, the better. So putting it over here works quite well. There you go. We're going to call it hair just so we can distinguish the two. There you go. Okay. So, of course, what I always start with is the base. It's just similar to the head. For the head, we started with the skull, basically the base of anybody's head. Then on top of the skull, we placed the muscles, and then once we have the muscles, we then place the skin. Or the skin and the fat. That is basically how we work here as well. Of course, hair doesn't have skin, muscles, or fat, but we can still work from the base up, adding more and more layers. That is basically how we work with hair, or how I work with hair. The workflow, basically working from not only layer 1 to layer, I don't know, 3 or so, but also working from very rough to very detailed. Meaning, if we go to sculpting, I, of course, use dynamic topology, otherwise we can't really, you know, create, or the topology will basically only stretch. We basically need dynamic topology to really create a good hairstyle, because the geometry that we have for the sphere right now isn't really sufficient to create anything, because there's like, you know, 100 or so vertices. It's not enough to create a hairstyle. So we enable dynamic topology and we bring the resolution back to 20. I like to work in 3 levels, or maybe even 4 levels for the dynamic topology resolution. First of all, I set it from detailing, relative detail to constant detail, because in my opinion, constant detail just is more, it's easier to use. Constant detail basically means it doesn't matter how close you are to the sculpt, you will always apply the same amount of resolution to the thing you're sculpting on. So if you go to wireframe, for example, and then I sculpt in here with 20, you can see we add way more geometry. These triangles get way smaller. If we do the same with relative detail and we keep it at 12, let's set it to 20 actually. We set it to 20 and we move all the way, or we stay here and we sculpt in, we can see there isn't really that much more detail. But then if we go closer, then we get more detail. So relative detail basically works off of the proximity of your camera to the sculpt. The problem that I have with that technique is that I like to work, as I said before, from rough to detailed, which you can't really do, or it is ineffective if you want to do that with relative detail, just because if you want to then go deeper in resolution levels, it is first of all kind of wonky, because you kind of have to always hit the same distance to the scope to get the same amount of detail in the scope. And also you have to get closer and closer to the sculpt to add more detail to the sculpt. It is the problem with that is the closer you are, the less you see of the whole thing. So you might work on this, you know, I don't know, the strand right here, but then in the end, once you zoom out, you see, oh well, the strand looks pretty weird there, or it's way too small. That's why I like to use constant detail. You see, you can just work from off of here, you know, you can set it to 100, because you do like a single strand over here. Oh, well, let me add it right there. You can still be very far off the sculpt and can still see what you're doing. You can see how dense it is now. It doesn't matter how close you are. The density is always determined by the value that you set in the resolution over here for constant detail. That's why I like constant detail. I'm going to start with 20, and the steps that I usually take, or the steps of resolution that I use, is 20, 50, 100, and then if I want to go even deeper with more detail, I use 150. Okay, let's bring back the sphere. There you go. And let's start with the hairstyle. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this a little bit better in here. What I mean is I'm going to pull it forward to kind of fit the whole head. What I want to do is probably not only bring or sculpt the hairstyle, but also, oh, hold on, eyebrows. So what I've just discovered is that symmetry is still disabled. You can see right here, if I now move it to the side, the other side doesn't move. It should move though, so I'm going to bring back symmetry by enabling mirror X here. And now if I sculpt, it affects both sides. To fix the asymmetry that we have right now, we can go to direction X to plus X, and we can just click the symmetrize option, and it basically symmetrizes from negative X to plus X. If you want to have the other direction, we can go to plus X to negative X, and then it takes the other side and copies it to the other side. Let me do a few adjustments so we have the full, the head is fully filled out, or it doesn't have to be like perfectly filled out, but at least closer to the surface, like this. There you go. That looks pretty good. And now let's start with the hairline. The hairline basically determines where the hair grows out of the head. And that is the base of the hair basically. So we can now determine where it starts. That is basically where you can decide what kind of hairstyle your character is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be, is the character supposed to be balding? Is it like a young child, or is it a female, or is it, I don't know. Usually childs have I think in my opinion, or not in my opinion, I think children have a pretty big forehead. They have like a big head in general. You can have like a short forehead, you can have a big forehead, you could have like these receding hairline, you could have different shapes for your hairline. We're gonna just create a simple, very standard hairline for her, just because that's the easiest one to learn first and the easiest one to apply. So of course we start with the side part here, right next to the ear. We just go down here, and we can even use the snake hook brush. The brushes that I basically use for the sculpt of the hair is the same that I use for basically everything that I've also used for the face. I basically only use the clay strips brush, the crease brush, this one right there, then the grab brush, this one, the mask brush, which is this one, and then the snake hook brush. We're gonna probably use all of them in the process of sculpting the hair. So yeah, when we get there, you're gonna see why and how I use them. The most prevalent or the most important sculpting tools that I use are the clay strip brush, and also the crease brush, just because they work quite well together. With the clay strip brush, you can first of all not only add more volume, of course, to the sculpt, you can also create a nice structure. Basically, you can create already flow, or you can introduce flow to the hair, because hair of course goes in a general direction, and you can create like this, the flow, the direction they go in, very easily with the clay strips brush, just because they have, of course, this inherent, I guess, texture to them. What I mean is, if you look now in here, so if I sculpt in here, you can see that they create these lines, these ridges. Because it's a clay strip, they have these very sharp edges. And these edges, you can see, create these steps right here, and these steps basically look like lines that go in a certain direction. This way, we can very easily create a flow for the hair. So if you want this hair to fall down, what we can just do is we can sculpt down like this, And if we do that enough, we can create some nice hair that goes down like this. See, now we have a nice flow going down. We can either use the clay strips brush for that, or we can also then, to assist that, we can use the crease brush. The crease brush basically digs into the mesh. Or, of course, if you press Control, every brush basically, or almost every brush, has two functions. One without hitting Control or holding Control, and one while holding Control. It is basically either adding or removing volume. The crease brush removes volume by itself. And if you press hold Control, it brings in, or it creases outwards, which is very useful for hair, for example, because you can, you know, create these nice sharp edges which looks kind of like hair. That's the second most used brush for basically everything that I do. I don't think I've ever used Clip Studio Paint. Is that like a 2D painting, you know, program? The only really painting program that I've ever used was Photoshop. Nothing else. I haven't really painted that much digitally. I think like, I don't even know, like 2 years maybe? I mean, that's maybe a lot, but, you know. Yeah, I've only ever used Photoshop. Or, of course, paper. Difficult, do you mean sculpting hair? I mean, depends on, of course, I would say, of course, you can always do different styles of hair. If you have short hair, it's probably easier to sculpt than long hair, because long hair requires more attention to the, you know, the hair flow, especially once you go down, or you create like braids, for example. They have a certain hair flow, or you create like the ponytails or whatnot. It all depends on what kind of hairstyle you do. Okay, so now she has a receding hairline. So how do we bring it back to in front of her, you know, into her forehead? We basically just, you know, add more volume. We bring it further forward like this, and then until we reach roughly here, over here. You know, probably you can now decide kind of where the forehead should end. We could probably say there, and then we can go over to the side. We can see there's still a lot of hair missing. Basically the rule, or not the rule, but a good guide to how the hairline looks is, first of all, you follow the ear. You basically just go up with this kind of hair right here, like the sideburns or whatever. And then once you reach the eye, you have this diagonal line right here, right there. This is also what you can follow with the hair. You can basically just go forward like this, just a little bit, not too much, and then you can go up again. So you can create this edge in the hairline that looks like this. No, I've never used it. I didn't even know that it existed. I've ever only used Photoshop. And if I would, you know, go back to digital painting, which might be an option at some point, you know, just to try it out again, I'll probably just use Photoshop. The biggest problem that I have with Photoshop is that it seems to always tries to forget pen pressure as much as it can. I don't know what it is. Pen pressure just is not really working in Photoshop. That is the hardest part about using, you know, drawing or painting in Photoshop. You always have to worry about your pen pressure just not working, which can be very frustrating. Okay, so that's the general hairline shape for a character. You go, you know, you have this bar right there, then you go up parallel to the eye basically, then you go back, either back or up like this. Then you have the forehead. You can of course pull the forehead further back, or yeah, you can now kind of decide how the hairline looks. I think that's pretty good. That's a good start. Okay, so now we have the hairline. Now we can actually decide what kind of hairstyle we want to have. Of course, we have this as reference, but I want to do a different hairstyle. I've grabbed some references. I've grabbed some more references than what I had yesterday. I'm going to save this real quick. And let me just quickly pull up the references so we can look at them. What I was looking for, of course, was, you know, an orcish hairstyle. What I mean by that is something, if you look at characters of an orc, kind of brute, aggressive, or rough, or yeah, overall just wild, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I use not only Photoshop but also Premiere Pro, Media Encoder, After Effects, and Illustrator, and basically most of the other programs. So the creative crowd isn't only for Photoshop for me. It's probably kind of a hassle to find alternate programs for all these Adobe programs. Okay, there it is. So I've collected some more references. Let me just quickly see if there's anything TOS endangering. I think that's okay. Let's switch to display capture. So I've selected a few more references. So we have a few more. So what I've kind of looked for first was different, I guess, yeah, ideas, different inspirations for what kind of hair you could have. You can see right here, you could have just, you know, hair that gets slicked back with these huge braids on the side. You could have just, you know, hair that gets that is kind of held together back there with some sort of band, very wild, very open. What you could also have is like a hairstyle that is like braids, basically everything like tied together, with this side shaved off, or, you know, actually braids right next to or right on the skin like this. That's why I grabbed this image, is to have a real life version of that idea, that sketch, to have a better reference when I then sculpt. We also have this one, just like pretty open, pretty long, pretty clean in my opinion. This one, in comparison to that, is very wild, very, you know, hair going in very different directions. It looks very rough. The hair has a lot of different direction it goes, which means it doesn't look as clean as this one, for example, which I think fits more into the theme of creating this wild war mongering, you know, character. You have one that is actually, you know, almost completely shaven off. You have like this this huge braid in the middle. Then you have this one, which is like a huge mane all going back with these huge braids. So one theme that we can definitely see is like these big braids collecting, or, you know, basically combining a whole lot of the hair together. That is probably something we're going to include. And then I just, you know, grab some real life references. It is always good to have some real life references for your sculpts, just to make sure that you're not, you know, doing something wrong. Basically, your brain can't really capture exactly all the detail that you think it can. It is always good to have references for whatever you're sculpting, whether that is a face, a hair, or the body. You probably haven't practiced, or I don't want to, you know, judge you, but you probably haven't practiced whatever you want to sculpt so much that you know exactly where everything is, how everything flows, how everything, like the anatomy is of the hair or the body or whatever. So it's always good to have references. Even the best, you know, professionals, use references, just because it just elevates your sculpt to another level, because you actually know you have references that you can work off of. And you don't really just, you know, copy them. You just grab them you use them as reference, not to copy them. You use them to kind of take some parts out of this. You can maybe take some parts out of this. You know, the hair flow, maybe this waviness or this big braid, how it's built, how the hair kind of works together to create this braid. Or we have this one, smaller braids, different styles. This one is more open, this one's more tight. And yeah, this way we have not only ideas for different hairstyles, we also have real life references. I think a combination of both is very important to create a believable hairstyle. So I think the idea that I had, that I definitely, one aspect that I wanted to include is these side braids, basically on the side, at least on one side, having these very tightly knit together hairs that you can see for her probably as well. Maybe only on one side, not everything, but on one side. And then maybe also going for something very open in the back. Maybe even something coming, like a little bit of it coming forward like this. So part of the hair goes back and part of the hair goes forward. Not like this, like everything going back except for these big braids. And then, yeah, a few more braids probably in the back as well. That's the plan. So let's go back to Blender and begin. So now that we have the base, we can go a little bit more into the hairstyle. As I said before, probably this side right here will stay short, or not short, but it, you know, it stays close to the skin because we have these braids going in this direction. I will probably not have that on this side as well. I want to make an asymmetrical hairstyle. The biggest problem, or the biggest, you know, the thing that works against that, of course, is the symmetry. If I change something on this side, it's going to change this side as well, as you can see. So what I usually do is I sculpt in, first of all, of course, I sculpt the basic shape of the hair, and then I detail it more. Going with big shapes first, you know, adding a lot of detail here, going with like maybe even one strength, just adding a lot of volume right from the beginning to really shape the hairstyle first before I go even into the flow or the basically, you know, more detailed stuff like the flow or the hair direction. It's basically the same. I basically just try to block out how the hairstyle is supposed to look. So here I'm working with a very strong brush strength to really just make sure that the overall look looks good. The overall look meaning that if you go far away, this silhouette makes sense and the overall, you know, shape makes sense. If you really, you know, if you go into detail right from the beginning, it can happen that, you know, okay, you want to add this braid right here. Okay, and let's work on there. Let's go in here. And then at some point you zoom out and you see, oh, well, this braid looks kind of weird down there. Or this looks kind of weird over there. And then you have to remove it again. The best way to start would be just block out your hair to really make sure that that the shape that you have in your head makes sense, and if it doesn't, you can still make big changes without having to sacrifice the detail that you've added before. So the first part will be to just create a blocked out hairstyle to begin with. So let me just quickly go back to here, to my references. I think this one is the best reference image in terms of the overall hairstyle, especially because we have this side right here, and then we have the hair that kind of gets collected over at the top and then gets into this, I guess there's some sort of band that holds them together, which is what I want to use here as well. So what I'm going to do first is, of course, I'm going to keep symmetry because symmetry is very useful in general. Symmetry helps us basically, it doubles the speed of sculpting because we only have to worry about one side. The negative aspect of it is, of course, that you cannot use or you cannot paint or sculpt asymmetrically. But we can utilize symmetry as long as we can so that we can save as much time as we can. That's why we add asymmetry in the character's face as the last step in the whole character process. Because otherwise we would, for example, oh well, let's sculpt the lips like right from the beginning. Okay, let's sculpt the rough lips, and then you give them asymmetry. Then you would have every single adjustment that you would have on the lips, you would have to do on both sides rather than just one when you still have symmetry. So you add asymmetry at the very end, once you have everything else in place and once you know that you're sure that everything else looks good, looks how you want it to look. So the beginning will just be using symmetry to double the speed of sculpting and basically just block out the overall hairstyle. You can see immediately that we get a certain hair flow like immediately just by using the clay strip brush. You can see these nice lines. That is of course a nice added bonus. That's why I use the clay strip brush. There are other brushes that you could use, but in my opinion, they all, as far as I know, all the others that kind of just are used to add volume are very round, which makes them kind of hard, you know, to create these sharp edges. That's why I use the clay strip brush, because otherwise you would have to use these round brushes that then need to be assisted by using the crease brush. You know, you could, for example, use the, what is it here? Let's use the draw brush. You could add some more, you know, some more volume here as well. But the problem you can see, it is round. So if we add some more, you could maybe use that for braids or whatever, like this. But you don't have any sharp edges here. It might kind of look like there's a certain flow, but the flow looks way more, it is way more, I guess, apparent using the clay strips brush. With all the others, what you would do is, you know, you would put it in here, and then you could use the crease brush to kind of create a crease in the middle to create this line that you would also just create by using the clay strips brush. That's why I use the clay strip brush, just because it's, you know, it basically creates hair flow by itself by just sculpting in the direction that the hair is supposed to go, like this. What I also want to do probably is I want to include, hold on, how does it look? Yeah, I want to bring all these parts here, these braids, all the way down over the ear, then probably forward, maybe, we'll see. Which means the rest of the hair that comes from here will actually be included into the ponytail, or, you know, this knot up here, that then branches out into like a huge mane. There you go. So then we have this this band right here holding the hair together. There you go. This is, you know, the general block out. We're gonna add more detail later. But that is the general first layer. As I said before, we're working in layers. The first layer just being the general shape, and then later we can add more, you know, free flying hair, or, you know, just, I guess, hair going in all directions. That kind of breaks up the main flow, but isn't big enough to really break the flow. There you go. Okay. We could probably also pull these closer together here in the front. That's why I'm gonna do this, pushing these together basically to create this nice hair flow. There you go. We could probably also pull them close together, you know, overall this middle part, like this, which means we have to pull the forehead out a little bit more. I mean the sides. There you go. You can bring some of that back, that volume. There you go. Okay. Then what you can also use is we can use the crease brush to kind of add some more detail, or, you know, just to kind of accentuate the flow or the hair by either creasing, of course, like this, or using it the opposite way by holding control, bringing in these sharp edges like this. We can combine the two, you know, basically in tandem, either creasing or adding or removing volume like this, which creates this nice hair flow. There you go. Okay, I want to pull this down a little bit more. There you go. I think I want to pull this higher, like this. Okay. There you go. Okay, now that we have the hair that is close to the head, let's add the rest of the hair, basically going all the way down, past the shoulders probably. I think I want to do hair, like the hairstyle only maybe to the shoulders, so we might have to shorten the hair a little bit. So how do we do this the best way possible? You know, how can we just create the hair, I guess, that you know, goes down here and doesn't really intersect with this. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter if it intersects, because this part we don't really see anyway in the end, because it's like filled with or covered from all the other hair. So what we can just do is we can just paint in here like this. Not too much though, we don't want to go too forward. How do we create more hair falling down? We just, you know, grab the snake hook brush and pull it down like this. I'm going to do the back hair first. Just pull it down like this. There you go. And we have a general shape already. See how it looks, how immediate, like, already looks like hairstyle. Just very blocky, of course, and very low resolution. But that's basically how you start. You start very blocky, you start very low resolution, and then you just add more and more detail, more and more layers, until you have the desired hairstyle that you want. There you go. We could probably go past the hair, I mean the shoulders, just a little bit, maybe like this. There you go. I'm gonna widen this as well. I'm probably also gonna bring some hair forward. So what we need is, I'm just gonna use the snake hook brush. That's what it's used for, to just pull it forward like this. There you go. Not too much, no, just a little bit. There you go, make it wider. And forward. There you go. The snake hook brush is perfect to just extend the sculpt that you have currently. That's what we do right here. We also have the move or grab brush that is more for smaller adjustments, like moving stuff, pushing and pulling, I like to call it. This one is more for extending. We could probably go pretty deep like with this. Also wider. There you go. Using the clay strips brush to just, you know, extend the sculpt would take way much longer, because we have to, you know, brush, just add more volume like that. You know, pulling it out is way easier. So using the clay strips, the snake hook brush just, you know, saves you so much more time. There you go. Let's do the same back here. Add more volume or more size. Okay, we can create a nice section between the two where it either goes forward or backwards. There you go. Okay, let's add some more volume in the back. Of course, the hair being very wild, very big, this is definitely too flat. So we can just use the clay strips brush and add more volume. One thing that we have to watch out for is, for the entire hair actually, is the thinner the sculpt, the more it'll be affected by the brush. What I mean is, the brush, of course, the cursor looks 2D, but the brush itself is actually 3D. It's like a sphere. The sphere basically shows you the proximity of the brush's effect. The sphere is just only displayed like a circle, just because, you know, you only care about where it affects the sculpt. So it, you know, shows it to you like this. But if you go into the advanced settings for your brush, right here under tip roundness, advanced, and then front faces only, if you tick that, I can show you what it does without having it ticked. If you make the brush very big, it basically goes through the whole sculpt, which means it not only affects this side, but it affects the other side as well, as you can see. To avoid that, we can enable front faces only. Front faces only means that you only affect the faces or the geometry of the sculpt that you can actually see in front of you. Because we see this side, of course we affect this, but we don't affect the other side because we don't see it. And that's how front faces only works, and that's how we avoid destroying our sculpt, basically. So now we can create a very, very simple hair flow back here as well, adding way more hair, of course. Of course, this being symmetrical means that we have like a perfectly symmetrical hairstyle. We're going to change that later. Right now, we only care about adding more volume and blocking out the hairstyle. It is also very, very, I guess, blocky in the sense that this has a clear edge to it. You can see right here, this is like a perfect edge on the end. We can also change that using the, what is it called? Snake hook brush, by just pulling out like an individual, I guess, tendrils or hair strands to give it more of this hair feeling. But we're not there yet. Right now we're only caring about the volumes and the shapes in general, not really about the overall look just yet. So what I'm doing here is just, adding more and more volume to really, really make this like look like a very, very voluptuous big hair. There you go. This one probably needs to be way bigger over here as well. We add some more. If we have so much hair in here in this small little band, there's probably way more that then spreads out right like immediately like this. Probably also up. There you go. So the first layer of the hair is probably is the basically the shape layer. The next layer would be the texture layer, or the flow layer, where we determine how, in which directions the hair go, the main hair, or the bulk of the hair, in and give it a more three-dimensional feel by creating creases and edges and pits and bumps and all that, to just make it look more three-dimensional. And then the last step would be to add more detail by using the snake hook tool or other tools to create these deviating hairs that go in all directions, that don't really follow the flow, but aren't as big or aren't big enough to break the flow either. They're basically only there to create some a certain randomness, which is always important for realistic characters or realistic objects overall. Everything in real life is kind of random, so adding randomness to the hair will help it look more realistic. There you go. So now we have a nice blocked out hairstyle. I think what I want to do is I want to pull this a little bit higher and also more forward like this. Oh, that's the hair, the head. There you go. We can maybe give it some more volume back here, like this. Okay, so that's the main hair. Perfect. Now that we have the main shape, we can either think about using asymmetry to do the side, or what we can also do is we can go into the, you know what? Let's do the side first. Yeah. Let's remove symmetry, work with asymmetry, and create these braids on the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go in here and create these small bumps. I'm going to block them out first, not really going into too much detail. This is only supposed to give it this braid feel, this braid look. This is not supposed to, I guess, finalize them. There you go. Just kind of, giving the feel as if there's like a braid by bringing in these bumps and these gaps in between these bumps like this. There you go. Maybe even over here, disconnecting the side. There you go. Then we can use these and combine them in the end to create like a bigger braid right here in the front. Going all the way over the ear, like this, then being combined into a single big hair strand or braid like this. Maybe we could even pull this more in here to give it a little bit more, an interesting structure. There you go. What we can also do to extend this a little bit easier, we can just use the snake hook, either by selecting parts of this and then pulling it out, by inverting the mask and then just pulling it out like this. But I think we can still keep it in one shape. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pull some geometry over here as well. There you go. Of course, always trying to stay close to the body so that we don't lose, it just so that it doesn't fly in the air. The braid stays close to the body because it has some weight. There you go. I'm gonna pull it further down. There you go. Okay. Of course, we can now kind of, if it's big enough or it's, easy enough, we can bring in this braid shape, I guess, or braid structure, but we don't really have to. Okay, now that we have the big braid, let's make it a little bit wider. There you go. We have one side. Let's do the other side as well, which is this one. So what we could do with this one is, I guess, just, pull the hair back without putting them into braids, like this. Just following the flow of the hair on the side. Or what we could also do is we can create a braid in the front right here, maybe multiple braids. What I mean is we can just go in here and create like a small field right here, like this, and then we can make small selections, or rather big selections, because the dynamic topology is quite small, like this maybe. And then we can invert this and use the snake hook brush to pull out individual braids like this. But I think it's always easier to do them individually. Doing them together can be quite messy. So what I'll do is I'll just select one of them. The mask will be sharper on the edge, if less blurry, if you set it all the way to 1 strength. And then using the snake hook brush, like for subscribing. Hold on, the names are just too small. Hope you, if you're here live, hope you'll enjoy the rest of the stream. And if you ever have any questions, Zerx number 2, welcome. If you ever any questions, you can always ask them. Okay, so now that we have this selection right here, we can just pull out a little bit of geometry like this. And this way we can create very, very simple, small braids or pieces of hair. We're gonna do that more later to create the second layer of hair. But right now we just, block out smaller braids to, I guess, detail the block, the blocked out hair just a little bit more like this. There you go. That's the first one. Let's do maybe one more over here. Just add one more over here like this, maybe even bigger. And then we invert it, pressing Control I, using the snake hook brush to then pull it out like this. It is very flat, but that is not really bad, just because we still have, oh, okay, well that is bad. If you have this very, very rough structure right here, this sculpt gets very, very thin and very, very messy. It is usually better to restart this, just because if you try to save it using the, either smoothing or using any of your brushes, it can happen that by smoothing it, you can kind of disconnect the two pieces. I don't know how that works, but it can happen that either the sculpt gets very, 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 very thin, like this, or what can happen is that you just basically disconnect the two pieces, or they're so small together that you don't see the connection anymore. So what I like to do is, if it looks very, very, very thin like this, I just try again. If you realize that it doesn't really work using the snake hook brush, so for example, sometimes when the selection is too small or the resolution is too big, it can happen that you can't really grab enough geometry and pull it out. What you can do then is you can deactivate dynamic topology and basically just stretch out the geometry. That might look weird, but you at least keep more volume than what you would have kept using, see, it look like this. It just has a little bit more volume and you can work with this better than using the dynamic topology snake hook version. But I think if we pull it out far enough, we should grab enough. There you go. We can then just push it back in, and it's basically like the other one. There you go. This one is actually quite wide, which isn't really bad, but I think I want to make it a little bit thinner. There you go. Of course, what also we could do to, add some more, I guess, uniqueness to this character would be stuff like accessories on the face itself, like, earrings or whatever. But that is not the topic of today. Today we're going to focus on the hair. There you go. The braid, of course, looks quite flat, so we're just going to add some more volume over here as well. There you go. We can also smooth it to make it smoother. There you go. And I think that's pretty good for now. I want to push it a little bit further in. It looks kind of like a sausage hanging down, so I'm going to pull it further into here, because if you think about it, the braid basically just, it's basically just like hair that then falls down, which means it is very close to the rest of the hair, or the skin of the head, this kind of is quite far off of it just yet. So what you can do is to bring it closer to the head, is you can use the mask brush. If you hover over a over this piece, for example, you can then hover over it, not clicking. You can then push Shift A to start a selection, and then by just moving your mouse, you extend the selection to wherever you need it to be. So you can bring it all the way up here, so that you only select the braid. It would be way harder to do that with the mask brush by itself, because at some point you would get so close to the other side of the sculpt that you would affect the other side as well. And now you can just grab it and push it closer together. Of course, if you want to detail this more, it might be a little bit better to keep them further apart. But I wanted to show you how you can fix these, or how you can separate the selection better. There you go. Okay. So now that we have that, what we can also do is we can maybe, you know, create like one or two, like here. Or no, we're gonna do that later. Okay. So this side looks okay. Should we add like a braid over here as well? I don't think we should. We could maybe create like smaller braids on this side, which means that we, you know, maybe she has these like smaller bands or smaller like metal pieces in her hair that kind of, you know, collect a few of these hairs and bring them together like this, and then you have like the small little, so the hair gets collected like this into this small metal piece, and then you have this hair coming out. We could do that, but I think that's what we're going to do if we go into more detail. Right now we're only really working with, you know, the rough sketch of the hair. And I think it looks quite good. I want to do one more thing though. Actually, no, I want to keep it pretty wild, so I'm going to keep it like this. But I want to pull this further apart. I think this needs some more volume. If I work in the areas where it's, you know, where it can still utilize symmetry, I'm just going to activate symmetry again and add it and work with symmetry, because, you know, this part right here, we haven't really changed using asymmetry just yet, so we can still utilize some asymmetry in this region. There you go. So now that we have the blocked out hair, what we can do is we can first of all either just add, you know, a little bit more detail by going in here and using the snake hook to create these individual hair strands. But I think that's what we're going to do with the next detailing level. I'm just going to quickly save this, and then we go in here and use a higher resolution for the dynamic topology. I'm going to bump it up from 20 to 50. So now if you go in here, we can see by just tapping on it and then smoothing it, it is way smoother than what it was before, and we have way more geometry to work with. So now it is time to actually create a nice hair flow and basically define the hair shape a little bit better, and also create some, you know, some texture, some more levels to make the hair look more three-dimensional and more, I guess, live, you could call it. There you go. Smooth it out. I want to bring in, you know, more geometry first. What you can do to fill the whole geometry or the whole sculpt with 50 resolution is you can click Detail Flood Fill. Usually I don't do that, because sometimes if you increase the resolution too much and then you use Detail Flood Fill, it can happen that it crashes, just because it basically tries to not subdivide but recalculate all the geometry, like the whole sculpt again, to add more resolution, which could be quite intense for the PC. Also, if we have a lot of sculpt underneath where we don't see it, basically, then I wouldn't use Detail Flood Fill as well, because that would just be a waste of, you know, bandwidth. If you have like 100 resolution somewhere in the head, it doesn't really make sense because you don't see it. So what I like to do is I like to use my brush for it, set it all the way down to 0.1 strength, so that it basically adds nothing to the sculpt itself, but it still has the same capability of retopologizing and adding or changing the resolution from 20 to 50. So I just, you know, either brush it over here or just tap it, and then by using the smooth brush, by holding shift and then just using the brush, we can smooth out the hair. So I'm gonna do that with a very, very big brush to just increase the geometry for the overall hair. There you go. We kind of still keep the structure that we had for the block out. But of course we're gonna go into here, into the sculpt in just a second and detail the hair anyway. So we don't really need to worry about losing too much detail. There you go. This side looks good as well. Perfect. Okay, now that we have that, we can look over it one more time and kind of see if there's anything that we want to change. Maybe we can push the braid over here a little bit more. That's why I use the grab brush to do these smaller adjustments, you know, just pushing it over here, making it bigger maybe, like this. And just doing small adjustments to the hair. Removing asymmetry, removing symmetry. Hello? Okay, yeah, I don't know what it is, but sometimes Blender just freezes when I deactivate symmetry. And then it just takes a while to just to start up again. What I also will use the hair sculpt for is for eyebrows. We could maybe bring them in now, because with 20 resolution it's quite hard to really block in any eyebrows. With 50 it's just a little bit easier, so I'm going to do it once we can, you know, work in here again. Please just let me... Oh, hello. I don't know why that happens. It's so weird. Oh, there you go. I'm gonna save real quick. Every time it freezes, I'm scared that I haven't saved for quite a while. Okay, let's do some eyebrows now. We can kind of see how far forward we are with the sculpt. If we press Alt Z or Alt Z, we can see in X-ray mode, we can see there is the sculpt. I'm just gonna pull it forward a little bit more. Zip, until we see it right there. Okay. Oh, hold on. We can probably use symmetry for this. So we have to reactivate symmetry. There you go. Now we pull it out. There you go. Kind of fill the whole thing, and now we can actually shape some eyebrows. I'm gonna dig down here. Use higher strength, of course, not 0.01. There you go. And create some nice eyebrows. You can also use the crease brush with a very strong strength to just dig in and, you know, remove a lot of volume immediately, like this. This is very nice. Just, you know, cut it down into shape. There you go. Okay. So, good thing is I have two perspectives here, which will help me, you know, just see, first of all, the hair and also the face a little bit better. So I can work in here very, very detailed from very, very close up, but I can also see the further, you know, the look. I can see the scope from further away. So I have basically two ways to look at it. It is always helpful if you have a second, or going from very close to very far every once in a while, because you can very easily just lose yourself in detail, and going, you know, far away and kind of seeing, okay, am I still on the right track, can really help you with sculpting or painting. It's the same for drawing or painting. Just kind of, you know, removing yourself from the paper and looking at it from afar can really help you see if it looks good from afar as well. Because if it looks from afar, where you can basically only see like the big shapes, then it will probably also look better from up close. The details might look good, but if the overall shapes look weird, then the overall drawing or sculpt will look weird. That's why it's so important to start with the base. The base will determine the shape of the hair. Everything else is basically just there to add more detail to it. It doesn't really change the silhouette, and the silhouette is basically the most important part about anything that you draw or sculpt. If you think about any Disney character, they all have very, very strong silhouettes. That is because the better the silhouette, the more recognizable the character is. If you look at, think about Mickey Mouse or Goofy, or maybe even Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon or whatever. How to Train, I don't know. They all have a very, very unique silhouette, just so it's easier for you to recognize them. It's the same with any drawing that you do. If it has a strong silhouette and a strong foundation, it'll always look better than if you have like a very, very messy, just weird looking silhouette and overall foundation. There you go. I'm gonna keep it like this for now. We can maybe detail these eyebrows later some more, or give it some more character. What we could do maybe is we can just remove this and keep it like over here. There you go. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna work on them later. So let's do the hair now. I guess the first part would be the top part. Now we can actually create some flow. What I mean is, if we now use the clay strip brush, we can actually see these individual lines that we can draw. If we increase the strength, it's even easier. Like this. See how we can really create this nice flow or structure? You can immediately see that it kind of looks like hair. Of course, it's still pretty blocky, but it reminds you more of hair than what you had before. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to either use the clay strips brush or the crease brush to really hone in on the hair flow. Okay, have a good one. Vincent, take care. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, so yeah, you can either use the clay strips brush to create a nice flow, or you can use the crease brush to do the same. Like this, for example, or also you can dig in like this. This way you can really create a nice hairline, especially like this. Look at this, looks way better than before by just using the crease brush. It makes it look more like actual individual hair than just like a blob of hair, or this mass of hair. It actually creates these individual hair strands that just make it look more detailed. There you go. Look at this. See, immediately it looks better than before. This might be too small. I think I want to stay a little bit bigger, just in the beginning, just to make sure that the second layer looks good. I think going this detailed right with your second level, I guess, is too much. So I'm gonna keep my brush quite big to just overall create a good foundation for the flow, for the hair flow, hair direction and all that stuff. What I mean with the hair direction, I can probably give you like an example real quick. If we look at this hair, for example, hair generally always has the tendency to clump up into multiple, like into a full strand. You never really see like hair just going in any direction. You can see, for example, here you have these strands that go down. You then have some more that go in this direction. We can probably paint in. Let's do that real quick. So if we use the brush, we can see, do we have colors here? Hold on, there you go. We can see some of them go down like this. They even then split up. Some of the hairs can't really decide where they want to go, so they just stay in the middle. Some of them then go in this direction. Of course, some of them are in these braids. And that's what I mean with hair flow. We want to establish a hair flow for the hair to really hone in on the natural, I guess, the natural aspects of hair. Hair never really just, okay, this hair, if you would start from up here, hair wouldn't just go in this direction, and then this, and then this, and then this, in any direction it wants. It always basically follows a general direction, at least the main part of the hair. Of course, then you have these hairs that kind of, get like deviate from it, but though that is basically the third layer of hair. The first layer being, you know, the ones that shape the hair, like these ones, for example. Then the second layer would be stuff like these smaller strands, like these ones that kind of still follow the main flow, but they kind of swirl around it. They don't really deviate too much from it. They don't really completely remove themselves from the main flow, but they kind of create these individual smaller strands that then create maybe these wavy lines, or, you know, just give it some more texture. And then you have the third layer, which would be the hair that kind of pokes out here, for example, like this, or you have some right here. You have some that is here in the middle, or even up here you have some hair that kind of just, you know, grows like this. That is the third layer, like this. So that's basically what we're gonna do now. We're gonna do the main flow first, then we're gonna create these individual strands that kind of break up the flow, give it some more depth, because they are on top of the main hair. And then afterwards, we're gonna care about the smaller, very, very individual hairs that just kind of, you know, deviate in all directions. Now that we have the shape foundation, I would call it, we can now care about the flow foundation. Once we have the flow foundation, we can care about I guess we can care about breaking up that foundation and giving it some more randomness and also, you know, variety. There you go. We could maybe say that these hairs go kind of in, and then there are more hairs that kind of cover this first layer in the front. So these hairs maybe go like this and then get buried underneath the rest. Like this. There you go. Then maybe over here we have the same, like this. So we have basically already multiple layers, but those are still following the main flow. We just establish a better structure and a more natural, you know, flow. There you go. And as you can see, I use the crease brush and the, what is it called? The clay strips brush to establish that flow. There you go. We can now give it, you know, give some more detail over here. We can also use the edge or the additive version of the crease brush to create these individual hair strands, but that comes later, or is more important later. There you go. Now we have, of course, the band right here. And then we have the other hair. Of course, if the hair gets condensed by like this band, then at some point it has to break off again, because it's so tight and it needs more space that at some point, once it gets released again, it goes like in all directions. That's why the hair actually goes up like this. So we have this, not only does the hair go up, but also to the side and down as well. Of course, the higher up the hair, the more likely it is to go to the side, because there will be more coming from the middle and down, or yeah, the middle basically. There you go. Then we have the flow maybe going over here, following this line, just going back like this. Of course, the more resolution that you have, the harder it'll be for the PC to, you know, retopologize everything, add more geometry. So the more resolution you add, or the higher your resolution is, the better it is to, you know, stay a little bit closer to, or work with a smaller cursor, because otherwise it can be very easily, you can very easily crash your your program. And then, of course, because there's so much hair being condensed, it doesn't really only go back. It only, of course, tries to go in every direction where it can just, you know, find some more room to be in. That it also not only stays in the back, but it also goes forward. That's why we have the hair that goes, you know, forward, like this. There's so much hair, it needs to go somewhere. And then, of course, we have the other hair that goes back, and then we have the one that kind of doesn't know what it wants to do, so it hits the shoulder and just decides in the last moment and just goes either in this direction or in this one direction. There you go. Still with a pretty big brush, just trying to establish a nice hair flow, not really caring too much about individual hairs or, you know, any detail. It's only really about establishing a nice flow. There you go. We can see here the hair is kind of flying over the body, so we could either just pull it closer to the body. I think that's the best way to do it. So I'm just gonna grab my snake hook brush, pull it closer. There you go. Now it's actually lying on top of the skin. Okay, let's finish the main flow, at least in the back and then in the front as well. And then we can go into the asymmetrical parts. And once we have those, we can then create some individual strands that break up the main flow. That would be the next step. That will probably take a little bit longer, just because we can be a little bit more, I guess, abstract, or we can kind of, I think that is the level where we can really, I guess, express, be very expressive, just kind of freestyle and kind of create some, you know, some individual strands. That is basically where you create the hair texture. This is only the underlying level that then gets covered by yeah, the texture. There you go, we have some hair over here as well. Okay, now we have the sides that are asymmetrical. So I'm going to deactivate symmetry. Before I do that though, I'm going to save, and now I'm going to deactivate. Oh, it actually works, perfect. So let's do this side first. This one seems to be pretty simple because there's nothing, no braid or whatever. So we just have to sculpt it in. This also seems to be kind of floaty. So I'm just going to grab my snake hook brush again and push it closer to the skin. There you go. Perfect. Over here as well. It doesn't really matter that it's intersecting. Of course, if you want to be very, very, you know, if you want to pay a lot of attention to detail, you could maybe, you know, sculpt it in a way where it never really, I guess, intersects with the skin. But I'm not going to do that. This is also basically the mesh that we will then use to create the main hair, the hair the final hair basically. This is basically only to kind of block it out, or to kind of, you know, create the hairstyle, and then we can use this as reference for the particle hair that we're going to add later. There you go. Okay, let's do the braid now, or let's do this side first. We have some hair here that just gets pulled back like this. There you go. And then we have these braids. We can of course use the crease brush to kind of make them more detailed. For example, like the flow, establishing like a flow. Of course, this hair, you basically, to create this braid, you collect a bunch of hair and then you tie them together, basically. So you begin very broad, and then it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. There you go. And then you have this zigzag. Hold on, I want to have some reference here. There you go. We can probably use the clay strip brush first. So it basically goes into each other, which means that it goes from here, into here, into here, into here. There you go. It still looks like a noodle, and that is because we still need to use the crease brush to create like an actual three-dimensional, I guess, braid. What does it look like on the other side? I can't really see it that well, but you know, there's actually a trick to separate individual parts of a sculpt. That's what we're going to use for this braid. So I've shown you the selection method by holding or pressing Shift A. So we're going to select the braid first, like this. Oh, hold on. There you go. Add this part here as well. Now everything that is black we can hide, and we can then work on this part only. How do we do that? First of all, we can hide the head, and then we can go in here into Sculpt and use Hide Masked. And there you go, everything else is gone. Now we can actually work on this side as well. So how does it look like from the other side? Probably the same, I guess. Which would mean that it looks like... wait. Hold on, do we have like a two-dimensional... No, hold on. So how would the braid look like from the other side? Oh, it's like a... Oh, I get it, okay. I get it now. Do I? Hold on. Of course, this side will not be very visible, but I still want to, you know, study braids more to kind of understand them better in a, you know, 3D modeling sense. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's just the same structure, you know, doing it like this. There you go. Oh. Going down here as well. Okay, now that we have the main structure, we can make it look a little bit more three-dimensional by using the crease brush and just cutting in here, like this. Okay. I think that works. This side looks kind of weird, but I think that's okay. We can establish a bit of flow over here with the crease brush like this. And then once we're done with this individual part of the sculpt, we can go back to the sculpt and say show all. And there you go. Now everything is back. Let's do the same with the other braid. Oh. Selecting everything that we want to have included into the sculpt or into the selection. There you go. Perfect. I don't want to use this. There you go. And then, oh, hold on. There's too much over here. There you go. We can then go back to sculpt, hide masked, and we can work on this braid as well. Of course, beginning with the hair coming from all directions. And then forming the braid. Okay, let's start with the clay strips brush. I'm gonna do 2 first, and I'm gonna just add more bands to this. Maybe that's a better way to sculpt braids. There you go. Do these X's first, and we can just fill the rest by just adding more of these bands that go over each other. There you go. Let's fill the rest. Okay, well, this is even more confusing now. Maybe that, you know, the braid doesn't have to be perfect. You know, if it's like a wild hairstyle, it doesn't need to be a perfect braid, but of course, that was the goal. I think the other technique was a little bit more fruitful. But maybe we can try different, you know, types of braids. We can maybe also use like a ring down here to connect or collect them all. And then they just end in this loose part right here. There you go. Okay. There you go. Okay. We can now use the crease brush to kind of give this some more detail as well, but that doesn't really need too much. There you go. Let's bring everything back. Oh, before I do that, I want to push this a little bit further in, like this. Perfect. Okay, let's bring the rest back. Sculpt, show all. There you go. Let's bring the head back as well. Okay, perfect. There you go. Let's do the other side now. So for the hair down here, I think this is just, you know, I guess hair that isn't really braided. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just let it, you know, fall down, I guess, like this. Maybe even make it longer because it's, you know, supposed to be long hair. So this strand can maybe even fall down a little bit longer, like this. Flow in the wind as well. There you go. Use the crease brush to give it some more detail. There you go. Okay, let's do the braids now on this side. I'm gonna separate the 3 first with the crease brush, and then we can go into the individual braids. There you go. Of course, they're gonna combine into this big braid in the end. Okay, that's the first one. We could maybe give it a little bit more detail, make it, you know, give it more depth by using the crease brush as well. As you can see, I always just add a little bit more detail and then go back out to kind of see if it looks good or not, if I need to go back in and kind of, you know, work on it some more. That is basically the main workflow. Always, you know, especially once you go into more, if you add, you know, more resolution, going out every once in a while can really help you still see the overall look. There you go. Perfect. Let's do the next braid, the smaller one in here. We can see this one gets actually so small that it kind of, you know, is too little, too small to really detail. But we can still create a certain amount of a structure, especially once we use the crease brush. There you go. Perfect. Let's do the last one, and then we can create the big one. And then we have the basic flow done. Then we can create some individual strands in the back. I mentioned it a lot in the last piece that we've done. Hair is quite tedious to model because it's so multi-layered and has like a, you know, so many different details, and yeah, just you can do so much with it, especially if it's long hair, that it can get quite tedious. You basically always do, you know, the same stuff over and over and over again. But if you want to have a good looking character, you have to do it. So you don't really get around it. Or you just, you know, grab it like an old hairstyle, I guess. You could do that as well, but you know, that's not what we're gonna do here. There you go. Now let's combine the 3. We can also hide the head real quick to have an easier time sculpting it. So this will be a 3-part braid. You can have a braid with 2 strands, or you can have a braid with 3 strands. Let me see if I can find a good reference for 3 strands. This one? Are those 3? It seems like, yeah, that's 3. Okay, perfect. There you go. Wait, that's kind of like a three-way braid. As I said before, you know, it's always good to have reference. so how does it start? It goes over here for this one, then this one goes undercover. This one goes on top, then this one goes up here. This one goes underneath. There you go. Hold on. Wait. I'm going to separate the braid a little bit more from the rest of the sculpt. There you go. Okay, so let's see. We have a good structure down here, but this one looks weird, especially because it is so small. Maybe we could even include more into the braid by just bringing these in as well. Hold on, do we see this part? Yeah, we do, okay. So we can convert it into, like, the three then gets combined into a big one. Oh. There you go. Of course, the bigger the braid, the bigger these individual strands as well. So I need to make my brush a little bit bigger. There you go. Okay, this gets kind of weird. Hold on. We have a good structure over here. There you go. Oh. Sometimes if you kind of hit the other side over here, it kind of translates that to over here, which creates this huge brush. That's something you kind of have to watch out for. If you have like a, I guess, you know, three-dimensional sculpt. as usual, it can happen that you kind of slip and go past the thing you're working on, and then it kind of translate this size to over here as well, to the front, which is of course not what you want. Oh, again. Oh no. There you go. There you go. We're almost at the bottom of the braid. Oh, again. Oh no. Please. I'm gonna save real quick just so if it ever crashes, I'm safe. There you go. Okay. Let's give it some more detail by going in here using the crease brush. Making it deeper, basically. Giving it more three-dimensionalism. Making it three-dimensional. More three-dimensional. There you go. they also look kind of flat. What we can do against that is, I guess, either use the clay strips brush again, but just smaller, like this, to give it like this sphere look. Or we could also use the crease brush, just bigger, like this, to make them nice and round. We can kind of decide what we want to do. I think the crease brush looks better. There you go. So we can not only use it to cut in here, we can also use it to pull out more volume. Oh. There you go. Like this. Oh. Very, very simple. And see, now we have a nicely detailed braid. We have some funkiness going on in here. Hold on, let me see if I can fix this real quick. Wait. Oh, I get it. Wait, do I? There you go. There you go. Now we have a nicely detailed braid. We can also probably now work a little bit more on the eyebrows. So we're going to bring back the head and go in here. We can use the crease brush to kind of establish a flow like this. I know that I haven't enabled symmetry, but the changes that we do here don't really necessarily need to be symmetrical. There you go. We can also maybe give them like a more character, like we can do like a cut right there, or like two even, like over here. There you go. Or we can also go to this side, make it just shorter, I guess. You know, just kind of making it more wild, more rough, like this. Perfect. Okay, those are the eyebrows. Let's go back to the hair. So now that we have the base flow going, now we can add the layer of individual strands that still follow the main flow, but kind of deviate from it. You can see it in here as well. You have the ones that just fall down, and then you have the ones that kind of, you know, have this this waviness to them. So we create a second layer of hair, basically. Let's do that now. You can see right here, these ones don't really, you know, fall in the same direction than the ones that start in the roughly the same spot. These ones, you know, deviate just a little bit from the rest, like this, and then they just fall down. Create this waviness effect, maybe even, and break up the main flow just a little bit, like this. See, now it doesn't look that monotone anymore, and it creates more of a natural look. As I said before, you always need some randomness in stuff that's supposed to look realistic or natural, and that is basically what we do here. Okay, see you, Jordan. Hope you didn't get yelled at by your parents again. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Okay. Oh. And that is what I mean with multiple layers. We can see these strands now on top of the main flow, but we can still also see the main flow underneath this one. This way we can create a nice three-dimensional feel while still keeping the main flow intact and also introducing more, you know, of these individual strands. Some can stop right there, some can even begin right here. They don't really need to begin all up there. They're just kind of supposed to, you know, break the main flow. Some can be very slim, very small, some can be very big. Some can go over each other, some can go under each other. Some can combine into a big one, into a big, you know, a big strand. That's all in the realm of possibilities. There you go, look at this. Let's split this one up. This one stops right there and then it kind of continues here. There you go. And you can immediately see that it just has more character. You can compare it from over here to over here. This one looks very flat, very monotone, very just in one direction, as if it's like perfectly, it looks similar to the, you know, all the hair brand advertisements where you have like these long flowing hair that is just going straight down and then they kind of brush their fingers through. That looks very fake and definitely doesn't really fit to a orc character. So, you know, that's why we need these, why it's always, you know, important to add these strands as well, because they break up this monotony and this unrealistic look, and also give the hairstyle a little bit more, you know, three-dimensionality. We can now also bring in, we can kind of break this silhouette. What I mean is we can go in here, maybe, you know, create this small little strand right there, and then we can use the snake hook brush to just pull it out and create a more interesting looking silhouette by creating these individual hair strands that go off the main batch of hair like this. This way we can create even more structure and even more three-dimensionality. But I'm going to keep sculpting in the middle here first before I'm going to do that. Especially with this very rough, very wild looking hair. We have a lot of these, I guess, semi-deviating hairs, just because, you know, it's supposed to be this, you know, wild comes from more and more, or, you know, not really following a certain rule or certain I guess, guide when it comes to hair, you know. So introducing that in here as well by bringing in a lot of these deviating hair strands will help make this look more rough. What also helps is, of course, removing symmetry. This way we can remove this, you know, symmetric feeling or symmetric look, which also helps make him look more natural, because, you know, no hairstyle in real life is perfectly symmetrical. So why would it be in the sculpt? And as always, we can not only, you know, add more geometry, we can also remove some to create even more three-dimensionality like this. Just digging in some parts, make it even deeper, can help as well. Once we're kind of done with the, what is it, the clay strip brush, we can then go back to the crease brush and use that to make this hair even more structured. Create this nice strand feeling by creating these nice sharp edges like this. So you compare these ones to these ones, they look pretty rough. They're not really smooth. By using the crease brush, we can really hone in on that flow and also just create these even smaller strands that can even deviate from this, from the flow of these, I guess, deviating strands. We deviate from the deviation. There you go. To enforce the structure even more and create even more realism. The clay strip brush, of course, being very flat, is, you know, still requires a certain amount of adjustment to really create this three-dimensionality, as you can see right here. That really, what really helps with that is the crease brush. If you compare this part here to this part, you can see how different it is. So once you kind of reach the limit of detail with your the clay strip brush, you can then go back in with the crease brush to make it even, you know, to make these details even sharper. It is kind of hard to do that with the clay strip brush, so that's why I say they work together quite well. So I'm going to finish this back part here first, then I'm going to go over it with the crease brush again. Oh. There you go. I even used the crease brush to really remove this batch of hair from the other one. But with the addition of these smaller strands, we can now kind of merge them together again. The big crease can still stay there to kind of indicate that they're kind of split, but you know, just it's the same process, kind of breaking the even structure. And we don't even have to just go over the same part once. We can even go, you know, create multiple layers on top. As much as you want. Of course, you kind of have to watch out that the hair doesn't get too full, of course. Of course, depending on what kind of hairstyle you want to do. This one being very wild, we can kind of, you know, be a little bit crazier. But overall, you kind of have to watch out. This part of the sculpt is still kind of adding more to the silhouette in terms of volume, but the one after that isn't really doing that much. There you go. Let's go back in with the crease brush to kind of lift up some strands, kind of give it even more 3D, you know, more depth. There you go. Giving it more contrast between these deeper parts and these higher parts. Now I'm basically only doing really what I've did before. I just follow the flow of these individual strands now with the crease brush, just to make them just like the braid, a little bit more round, a little bit more, you know, create some more depth. I talked about depth so much now. Not only going in and then between the strands, we can go down. There you go. See how much of a difference that makes? It just looks way more natural now. So we're going to continue doing this. As I said, it's quite tedious, but once we're done with this, it'll already look pretty good. Then the next step is basically just the icing on the cake, adding individual very small hairs to kind of just break up the overall hairstyle, to create some, yeah, make it even wilder, I guess. And you know, not all the hair is like very long, and then what happens is that it kind of, because it's too short, it can't really follow the main flow, which means it kind of breaks off and either gets affected by wind or by its own, you know, tension which it has, or other hair pushes it out, that it kind of breaks off and kind of even, you know, just maybe, you know, creates these small hair particles, or hair, I guess, individual hair strands, I guess, that then just go in all directions. They don't really care about the flow because they are not long enough or big enough to really follow the flow anyway. Almost there. Of course, if it's kind of hard to always sculpt with dynamic topology on, what you can also do is you can try to use, or you can try to add more geometry everywhere first, and then you can deactivate dynamic topology and only work without it. Because once you've added more geometry, you know, that's all you need to add more detail. You don't really need dynamic topology necessarily to create the next layer of detail. The good part about still having it enabled is that you basically don't get this stretchy look on your faces. But if you don't stretch, you know, if you don't affect the geometry too much, that shouldn't be a big problem. So if you for example have a pretty, I guess, you know, with like a laptop, whatever, a low-end PC, you might lag out a little bit. Maybe, you know, adding geometry first and then switching it off might help and kind of alleviate and kind of ease, I guess, ease the pain. You know, make it easier and actually usable. There you go. Now we have the back done. We can now go maybe to the top part here. Create some more depth. You can see now we're breaking. We can even just use the crease brush to break off of the main flow, as you can see right here. We're not going very completely parallel to the main flow. We actually just, I guess, deliberately go against it, or not against it, but kind of off of the main flow. I say main flow too much. There you go. I need to change the batteries in my headset. Hold on. There you go. Okay, let's continue. There you go. Now you can immediately see the difference. Of course, we don't really have a before and after image necessarily, but you can at least see what these additional strands do. They do not only add more depth by creating a second layer on top of the main layer, they also make it look more natural. There you go. Maybe in the front we could use some more work, maybe even create some sort of, you know, hair that just stays here in the front, like this. There you go. The braids, I don't think really need that much, I guess, deviation. I think they're good. Let's do the front now. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna sit back down and then we continue. We do the front and then we're basically done. We don't really, so sculpting in these very fine hairs is quite hard because they're so small that you would have to increase the resolution by quite a lot. So I think once we have done this front part and maybe added some, you know, some out branching strands as well, then we should be done. Before we continue, I'm gonna sit down. There you go. Okay. It is actually finally getting warmer over here. It was so cold for so long. You know, it's almost July, and just now it's getting warmer. I don't even know when the summer starts. Isn't it like 2 months ago or so? In April or so? I don't know. All I can say is finally. It's finally getting warmer here. Good thing is my room is exactly where the sun never, you know, is never shining in. Or you can see the sun through my window when it, you know, when it's like in the morning, where it isn't really like super warm. And then, you know, middays it just, you know, never hits my window, and then in the evening it doesn't either. So I'm in the best spot. And I'm also not under like a roof, which means I don't really have to worry about getting warmth from like on top through the roof. I'm perfect in the best room possible, basically. But it still gets pretty warm, of course, when it gets like really warm. So to recap, just quickly, hair is basically made out of 3 layers. First layer being the main flow, basically establishing where most of the hair, in which direction it goes, and yeah, establishing the main shapes basically. Then the next layer would be following following a similar flow, but then also deviating from that main flow to create smaller strands that not only break up the main flow, of course, but also create a second layer that makes the hair look more deep, more detailed, and also just more natural. And then the third layer, if you really want to go into detail, would be stuff like these very small, maybe even individual hairs that basically are just there to make it look even more natural by adding you know, by adding them, you kind of create these. It's similar to pores on a face. They don't really, you know, do that much for the general, like the overall look of the character, but they still add a certain, you know, flair or look to it, which you know, overall just makes it look more natural. These hairs are either too short or just in the wrong place, so that they don't really have the ability to follow the main flow. So what they do is they, you know, just go in the direction that they're usually facing. What I use the most is the clay strip brush and the crease brush to really establish a nice structure. They are the best way. Those two are the best brushes to change and add or remove more volume. Add or remove volume. And work very well together to really, first of all, create a nice flow, but also, you know, create nice depth. They can either detail the hair or just add more. Change the shape, or yeah, add more detail. There you go. This one is quite far off the skin, so I'm going to pull it further back. There you go. Starting off very, very rough with a very low resolution, and then going in more and more and more. Starting off with 20, at least that's what I do, and then going into 50, maybe even 100 if you really want to go into detail. I use this as a guide for the final hair using particle hair, so I'm not going to do, like, you know, the fully extreme detail, because I'm going to, you know, exchange this in the end anyway. There you go. Let's spice up the silhouette a little bit more, or the shape of the hair, by bringing in individual strands on the outside. We can very easily do that by grabbing the snake hook and just pulling out parts of this off the mesh like this. Making sure that it stays on top of the actual skin, not going into the skin. There you go. And then establishing a bit of structure on that, you know, on that new strand by using the crease or clay strip brush. There you go. And as I said before, here it can be quite tedious, but of course, the more time you spend on it, usually the better it look in the end. So it's all up to you how much time you really want to spend on it, and how much, how detailed it's supposed to be. That's why I'm gonna stop when I have the when I have this layer done. I'm not gonna add the very tiny hairs, just because I don't think they really add that much more to the current look. And that's basically, now we've used all the tools that I previously described. We've used the snake hook tool, that's what we just used right there, by pulling out more geometry, extending it. We've used the clay strip brush, of course, a lot to create, add, remove, and shape the hair. We've also used the crease brush for almost the same stuff, shaping and changing the structure. And then the next part, or we haven't really used the grab brush too much, but that is also only really for small adjustments. I haven't really done that many small adjustments on this, so I didn't really use it that much. But sometimes I think we use it in the beginning. And then of course the mask brush works very well in tandem, in combination with the snake hook brush, to create the nice, first a selection, and then we can pull out that selection to create a nice braid or something, something else, whatever you want to do with it. That's also usually what I do. For example, when I sculpt bodies, I pull out the, you could pull out like the arm or fingers. What I usually do if I, sculpt the full body is I create a base mesh first. And then once I have the base mesh, I go in and start sculpting and, establishing the main muscle structure. That always, it always comes down to establishing a nice base first. Creating the body out of a base mesh first, it's just safer that it in the end is going to have good proportions and it's going to look good. Rather than starting off sculpting the upper body first and then adding the arms and the legs. It's just more riskier. It's just riskier, that it will look weird in the end. There you go, we have added just a little bit more at the back to really create this hair look. Of course, they still look kind of like tendrils or whatever you want to call them. more like, you know, a single unit of hair rather than, you know, individual hairs, but I think that is enough detail. Let's do that over here as well. On the front pieces. Oh. There you go. Now bringing in the crease brush to just detail these extended strands just a little bit. Then we have the one side done. Let's do the other side afterwards, and then we basically have the full hairstyle. That's one side. Let's do the other one. There you go. That's the braid. It kind of ends weird, but yeah. Oh, we could do something else actually. We can maybe create some sort of ring down here that collects the braid again, and you know, binds it together so that we have a nice ending here. Need to make it bigger though. There you go. There you go. Let's do the other side, and then we have finalized the hair. So tomorrow there's not going to be a stream. But on Monday, we will continue this piece. We will probably go into either armor sculpting. But I think what we will rather do is hair particle. Adding hair particles. Basically replacing this hair sculpt with hair particles. That would be the next step. That would probably take maybe 1 or 2 streams, maybe 3, depending on, of course, how much detail we want to really add here and how realistic it's supposed to look. But that would be next week. If you're interested in, you know, the schedule for next week, I'm probably gonna upload a schedule on Monday. You know, kind of showing the schedule for the next week. And then, yeah. Of course, the weekend there will be no stream. Because on the weekend I edit some videos for the videos channel. There you go. There we have it. That's the final look. So if we really would have wanted to, what we could do now is we could go in here and use the 100 resolution, or maybe even 150. We could use the snake hook and just pull out very, very tiny hairs like this, maybe even smaller like this. Just pull them out like this to create these deviating hairs. They don't really follow the hair necessarily, or the flow. They're just really there because they're too small. Oh. And they're too short to really follow the flow. So they just sit there and you know, fly in midair. We could do that throughout the whole head, but I'm not going to do that. So, you know, we could maybe do that over here, just a little bit like this. There you go. But yeah, of course, if you want to go into more detail, you could just go up to 100 and then do the same process again. You know, it's creating even smaller structure, or, you know, defining or refining the structure here even more. But I'm not going to do that. This will basically conclude the full process of creating detailed hair, sculpting detailed hair in Blender. Of course, if you have any questions, you can either ask them now, or maybe if you have them later, you can put them in the comments. Hope that was helpful. There you go, layout. Hope that was helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. Hopefully you enjoyed the rest of your week and the weekend. And yeah. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for being here. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and take care. Bye bye.